welcome to Concert Pipeline. That's Jens Schippel.
And that is Steve Jones.
And Jens, today on the program, we have music royalty of sorts. We have Deborah Bonham and her husband, Peter Bullick. And Deborah Bonham is the famous John Bonham from Led Zeppelin's sister. And she has a band with her husband, aptly titled Bonham-Bullick. So we had a lot of fun. I mean, this interview, I think I was smiling the whole time. Like, it was just, they had so many great stories. It was a hoot. I can't wait to share it.
That's fantastic. And this is a band from across the pond, right?
Yes. It's the second band in 2 weeks that we've had from the UK. It was an early interview for me and a late one for them, but through the magic of Zoom, we were able to sync up and chat. And we went deep on their band, on all, lots of experiences they've had with other amazing musicians as well. We'll get into all of that, but Jens, before we do, let's talk a little bit. It's been a week, right? It's been a week since the last episode. That's how this works. What's going on? How are things shaking?
Yeah, so we like to, share a couple of stories before we dive right into the interview. And I'm thinking real hard, like, okay, what's been going on with me since last time we spoke? I like to, bring something really interesting to the table, but I got nothing. My dog looks like a rag, like a mop. Like, I'm going to either start mistaking that little guy for a mop, or I need to, go take him to the groomer.
Fair.
That's how exciting my life is right now.
That's a highlight for you. So
talking about the dog, right?
Yes. Okay. Well, I'll provide an update then. So I talked, I think, a little bit last week about the Century Ride I'm preparing for. So yesterday went out with our buddy Joe, and we did 31 miles. We biked about 31 miles.
Right. Yes.
And we have a pretty good pace. I mean, we pace ourselves pretty well, and I'm feeling like it's, I can do 100 miles. I don't know. I say that now, but
okay, wait a minute. So you're saying that you did this? You did a trial run?
I did. Well, we're working up. We're trying to add 4 or 5 miles each week and bike just about every week or so, give or take. Mm-hmm. We might spike up to 50 here in the next week or two if we feel like it. But we're building up to that 100 point. Well, at the highest we're going to go before the race, I think, is about 70 miles probably. If we could do 70, what's another 30, right? So
right. And are you following part of the route, or are you just going wherever? Or
no, because the route is in Santa Rosa, so it would take an intentionality to drive there, which is 45 minutes away, and
too time consuming.
Yeah, it adds an extra hour and a half in that we'll do that. I think we'll head over there probably April-ish at some point to try some of the route. We obviously won't do the whole route or anything before we do it, but to get the lay of some of the land and feel it out over there. But we're just sticking in Napa and in Yountville right now. So doing laps around, the country club and that sort of thing.
Are you getting enough elevation training there? Because you're going to be going up and down like cumulative 5,000 feet or something. Right.
You're right. And so that's something I was looking at actually, because yesterday I'm looking at, okay, we did almost a third of the ride yesterday, but the elevation wasn't to, a third of what the elevation will be. So I think I don't know how steep it's going to be at certain points, or how much that 5,000 feet is spread out over, but it's going to be steeper than we did yesterday. So I think we need to practice some more hills and work our numbers up there a little bit, because that'll also, of course, slow down our time. We did 31 miles in about an hour and 45 minutes or so. And so if we multiply, it'll probably take us like 6 hours to do the whole thing.
Gotcha. Got to ask you a couple of questions about your experience on the bike. So your bike is like next level advanced. You've got shifters on the right and on the left side of your handlebars, right?
I do. It's pretty amazing.
Did you remember to use both of them this time during your little training round?
I did use both shifters. This is also a good warm up for me to figure out how to ride an actual bike also, because as you know, I do Peloton every day, and I've done over 1,200 rides on the Peloton, and that's on this bike that goes nowhere. And you have a knob, and it goes up and down, and that's the only thing you have to work with on the Peloton. And on an actual 21-speed bike, you have to shift both gears. It's pretty incredible, right?
Yeah, and you have got to look out for traffic and stuff too.
You do. A lot less traffic on the Peloton, I'll tell you, than out on the road. So
right.
Yeah.
Okay, next question I got to ask you. Okay, so we got the little levers down. You can shift on the right, shift on the left, and I don't know if I'm actually doing right, left correctly. No, this is right. This is left. Okay.
Which one? Okay.
Air. You got air in your tires? Properly pumped up? You're not working extra hard because one tire is flat?
I'm doing better with that. Also, I pumped my tires up before riding yesterday. So I got a pump that shows the PSI on it. This is all next level shit, right?
That's fancy.
My old pump didn't show the PSI, so I just would go off of it feels pretty firm here. This is good. But apparently you want to pump it to what the PSI says on the tire, and that's where you pump your tires to. This is all amazing revelations for me, I'll tell you. And,
and for all of those folks, in the UK listening to this pod, PSI stands for pounds per square inch, I think. So the unit of measurement over in the UK is different. Don't know what it is, but that's basically what we're talking about.
They use pounds as a currency.
They use pounds as a currency. Yeah. Not as like to measure that volume of air, or
that could be
density.
Confusing, right? So
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm feeling promising. Like Joe was telling me that I should get just a road bike because I have a hybrid, and but I'm telling you, like, I'm like not looking to buy a new bike right now. With the pending home purchase that I'm working on as well, and I'm trying to save where I can. I know. So bike is not on the list. I mean, I'll have to get a fridge, a new couch. I'm gonna have to get new furniture for the house and everything, and in addition to buying a house. So I just got to tell you,
one of the most beautiful things about buying a new house is that you get to set it up just the way you want it. And minimalism is fantastic. If I was in your situation right now, I think I would just get the bare necessities. I wouldn't even get a TV, like an iPad or a phone is enough. I think just something comfortable to sleep on. And maybe just do the Japanese thing where you just eat on the floor, have a nice carpet or something.
It'll kind of be like that, dude, for the first couple of months, because I'm in where I'm at right now, and this could change because, but where I'm at right now is I'm going to be living between both places, for about 2 months or so, since the kids are finishing up school in Napa, and so I'm like, okay, I have one TV. But which house does that go in? And
right.
I guess I'll just be working off my iPad, and I'll have to get it, everything set up and at the other place as well. But one place won't have furniture and the other will for a while. That's going to be interesting. So
I think like the work stuff would be super important to get set up immediately. Like, since we work from home, getting the fast internet is going to be super important.
Gonna have to get the internet. I have 2 desks, so I can take one of the desks over, pretty early, and and then just be working off of one for a little bit. But yeah, I mean, lots of stuff to plan for there, right? So
cool. You got to be excited.
Yes, I am. I am excited and nervous. I mean, there's so much involved with it, like that I'm learning throughout it. I mean, I'm like, I don't know what this means. Can you explain this to me? And I have the house inspection tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes. Fingers crossed it all lines up, right? So
gotcha. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Well, that's what's going on, Jens. So next week, I'm sure you'll bring an exciting story for the program. I look forward to hearing.
I'll work on a nice juicy one.
You need to run into a fire and save a baby cougar or something. Like
there you go.
We need something juicy. So
I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it. And we'll have to see what happens, and it's going to be spicy.
I like it. All right, well, let's bring in our guests here. Again, this is Bonham-Bullick with Deborah Bonham and Peter Bullick here on Concert Pipeline. Here they are.
Welcome, guys.
Well, I want to start out by thanking you both for taking the time to chat today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes. And first off, happy belated birthday, Deborah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. How was your birthday yesterday?
Oh, it was great. I had a fantastic time. Did a big beach walk with the dogs and a few glasses of sparkling, and I'm feeling okay.
Very good. So how many dogs do you have? I know you're a big dog fan.
We got 2 at the moment. We lost one a couple of about months ago, but my stepbrother came down with his 2 dogs that I'd rescued and rehomed to him. So he brought his dogs, and we just did a big beach walk, and it was great, wasn't it?
It was
lovely.
A winter walk in the beach.
Very nice. And while we're talking about birthdays, I did want to ask you, Peter. I saw your birthday cake from December. What was that about? Tell me what's going on there.
Well, you see, it's kind of it. Well, it's one cake that I can guarantee that Debbie won't touch because she's a vegetarian, and so it was made out of chicken wings and ribs, which basically from our American tours, that's been basically what I live on the road. In fact, we call it Wings Across America tour. So we have basically every night on our nights off on tour in America, it's I'm known for just eating buffalo wings and beer. So
does America really do wings better? Or?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it has them everywhere. So that for me makes it better. Yeah. Quantity is better. Quantity rather than quality.
Oh, of course. You don't have to have a fine wing or anything. What was that, Deborah?
I just ate the vegetables. That was it.
Yeah, I chuck her the celery sticks.
Yeah, the sides, right? Dip it in ranch, and you're fine, right? So, yeah, very
so
cool.
Yes, that was a neighbor of ours provided a big cake made out of. That's right. It was mashed potato with chicken wings and ribs. And chili sauce. So that was the cake.
I have to say, it's one of the most creative cakes I've seen. So,
do you know what? It was really good though, because it stopped me eating it, which was brilliant. So, all helps with the diet. So, there was no way I was going to touch that cake with cream on it,
Oh, for sure. So definitely we have a lot to talk about. Obviously, want to talk about the new album, but I like to start kind of from the beginning. And so Deborah, I know a lot about kind of how the music in your family, but so we'll get there in just a bit. But Peter, why don't you tell me what got you started in music? What was the vibe in your household kind of growing up from a music sense?
Well, my mum had a collection of singles. She's obviously got something funny. She's not sure what.
Because I just know the singles that your mum had.
She had the Beatles.
No, I know.
She did have the Monkees, so that was cool.
I'm sure she had Daniel O'Donnell as well, but there you go.
She didn't. No, there was
she did. She lied to you.
Yeah, there was no country and western. Things like the Beatles and the Stones. I had Get Off My Cloud, the Stones, and Day Tripper, the Beatles, which was had a guitar riff on it rather than some of the other poppy Beatles songs. And then my aunts and uncles who used to babysit for me when the parents would go out, they were turning up with albums by Free and Bad Company and stuff. So that sort of set me off on the road to that sort of thing. It was all older relatives' music that I listened to, and then from that sort of expanded myself into, I don't know, I'd maybe then, it was always kind of the blues guitar kind of thing. So then I'd explore a bit further myself and end up with B.B. King or, Hubert Sumlin and all the Howlin' Wolf stuff. But basically it revolved around kind of Rory Gallagher free, and there was an Irish folk rock band called Horselips. That was probably it, and maybe a bit of David Bowie and Mick Ronson. That
You
kind
snuck
of thing.
that in on the music last night. I'm not keen on the Horselips. I mean, it's an acquired taste. It's like a prog rock thing. They're great, you know, but it was my birthday and I was insisting that we played the music I liked, and he snuck it in there full blast last night.
I think it was anyone that had long hair and a Gibson Les Paul from the 60s or 70s. I think that was probably it.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you wind down the days a lot by listening to music? You kind of agree upon what you want to listen to a lot?
No, we call it winding up the day whenever we he's like, take that shit off.
Yeah. And so when did you pick up the guitar, Peter? And was it always the guitar for you?
Last week. Just in time for the rehearsal.
Just started.
Yeah, just in time for the rehearsal, he picked it up. I mean, he's had years to have learnt that set that we did, but you know, last week he picked the guitar up.
I think it was about 7 years old. I had an uncle that was 3 years older than me, my mum's kid brother. So anything he did or anything he got for Christmas or birthday, I wanted the same thing the next birthday or Christmas. He got a guitar aged about 10, so I got one aged 7, you know. And as he learned it, I copied him and stuff. So that it became our thing as little kids to sort of work out songs from it. You know, we'd play the records on our little mono vinyl player and try and copy them and lift the needle, put it back again, and all that kind of stuff. So that's how I sort of learned, by playing by ear kind of thing. And just went from there.
Hey, very cool. And so Deborah, tell me, for you, I mean, obviously I would know about John and kind of how, you know, you kind of followed in his footsteps once you kind of got into Led Zeppelin, but what was it about music for you that you really kind of latched you on as a child?
It was Led Zeppelin, you know, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, I was 6 when John joined, and I think I went to my first Led Zeppelin concert when I was 6 or 7. Well, actually, we were talking about this last night because John and Robert played at I think it was my 6th birthday party. Wow. So they got up and played, and they just started Led Zeppelin then, but the other 2 weren't there, but they got up and played.
Every other 6th birthday party had Coco the Clown.
Yeah, I know.
John Bonham.
She is Led Zeppelin at her 6th birthday party.
Yeah, so we had to play Led Zeppelin last night. But yeah, I went to my first concert there. You know, I went to the Birmingham Odeon in the Midlands in the UK, where they were playing to about 2,000 people. And I just remember thinking it was the most out-of-body experience I think I've ever had. You know, it was just, it was phenomenal. It was otherworldly. This band came on, and it was just, I just sat there thinking, oh my goodness, you know, that was my brother up there. But they were just phenomenal, and the whole experience then coloured my life forever. You know, it was that pivotal moment that it just completely coloured my life. That's what I wanted to do, and I've been trying to do it ever since. But it was amazing. So yeah, it was Led Zeppelin. And then, you know, as I got older, John and my other brother Michael, it was a very eclectic mix of music. John was quite a big soul boy. He loved things like James Brown and Otis Redding, and you know, he loved those drummers as well, you know, Clive Stubberfield. And so there was a lot of that music, and he was a big song person as well. You know, he loved the Bee Gees and the Beatles, and so it was a real mix, you know. So I had all this different music coming in and out, and some of the old blues stuff, some of the great blues singers of the time, like, you know, Etta James and Mahalia Jackson and all of you know, Sarah Vaughan. It just progressed, and it's always been a massive part of my life. I can't remember ever not loving music. And my mom told me that before I was born, she was heavily pregnant with me. And of course, there was always music in our house because Mom and Dad loved the big bands and Betty Goodman. And, you know, my mom was a big Frank Sinatra fan as well. But also they just loved the big bands, so there was always music playing, and that's where John got his love of Gene Krupa as a drummer, you know, and Buddy Rich. And Mom said she felt me absolutely dancing away before I was born, because the music was on. She said you more or less came out dancing, you know, just like doing this.
She hasn't actually stopped.
No, I did it
No,
last
I
night.
didn't. Never stopped.
You know what? They filmed me and I didn't know last night. I was jumping up and down to Hocus Pocus by Focus, amongst other things, Rubber Band Man by Detroit Spinners, as they were known over here, you know, the Spinners. Once that starts, I can't stop dancing, you know, the feet start and that's it.
This video, you're just having a blast, I'm sure, right? So
yeah, I love it. Well, I think life's all about having a blast, really. And I think, you know, if you can't have a good dance and a good sing and, you know, just enjoy every moment.
I think we actually had Van Halen on last night as well, didn't we? I haven't listened to Van Halen in a long time.
We had a real mixture.
I think I went through... that was on Running with the Devil, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, I remember singing that last night as well. Running with the Devil. I remember that. Yeah. We had every decade of music came on last night. I was celebrating every decade. So it was, that's music, you know, it does something to you, doesn't it? You know,
it does. Where do you just Van Halen, where do you land on Sammy versus David?
Oh, that's a difficult one, because I actually liked Sammy. I had his solo albums, Danger Zone, and I don't know if you're familiar with that album, but he had a song on there, just leave. I can't make it to the phone. Just leave a message with my clone, because I've just been through the danger zone.
You ain't going to get the gig, are you?
Yeah,
it doesn't matter how much you sing.
Yeah, but that little message, I can't make it to the phone. I used to copy it and put it on my answer machine. So anybody phoned me. Yeah, it was like, I can't make it to the phone right now. Just leave a message. Oh, come on.
It's good.
Dave Lee Roth was probably one of the ultimate showmen, though, wasn't he? So,
crikey, when he jumped off that stage and did the splits, I mean, that's one of the most iconic photographs.
So I don't know, how would you compare the two?
I don't think I would. I think they were both equally great.
Are they just two stratospheric versions of the same thing in a parallel? I don't know.
I absolutely loved when Sammy did Pound Cake. I loved that song by Van Halen. So, and I love stuff that with Dave Lee Roth. So I think it's two different things.
Well, Van Halen's first album was epic, wasn't it? It's Dave Lee Roth, and it's
they're two different things.
Where do you land on that, Steve?
Yeah. So I heard David Lee Roth say one time, and I think it put it in really good perspective, where, you know, he's like you say, running with the devil. So he's down here, and Sammy Hagar's top of the world, right, over here, sort of thing. So they are completely kind of inverse in terms of the topics that they sing about, you know, and how they kind of approach that music. You know, I mean, both are, absolutely great. And I've never seen David Lee Roth live, but I've seen Sammy live, and I mean, what an energy that he has. Yeah. But kind of combining it into just one band, I don't think it's really the same band, even though
no, I've seen them
Yeah.
both live, and both equally incredible energy.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, in fact, Sammy got Debbie up to sing with Van Halen at a show in London.
I did. This is a good story.
Do tell.
I was secretly in love with Eddie Van Halen. I mean, what girl wasn't? You know, I had a poster of him on my wall. He was so gorgeous. Anyway, you tell it, because I still get embarrassed even telling it.
It was an album launch party in a small club in London, and a record company party, and we'd been invited, and they were playing. I don't know, there's probably 300 people there, so it was quite intimate. And I got talking to Sammy at the party, and I said, "Here, do you know John? But I'd heard that Van Halen do Zeppelin Rock and Roll as an encore." So I said to him, "Here, do you know? Here you do Zeppelin's Rock and Roll as an encore quite often, you guys." I said, "Do you know Bonzo's kid sister's here?" And he goes, "No." I go, "Yeah." He said, "You know, she's a singer. She's had records." I go, "No." Yeah. So I said, "Let's get her up." I went, "Yeah." So I thought this would be a surprise for Debbie. So we watched the whole concert. So there's maybe an hour's worth of concert. And I haven't told her yet. So then they go off, and then they come back on for the encore, and they go, "Hey, we got to get Debbie Bonham up on the stage." And I turn around and go, "Oh, she's not there." And I go, "Oh shit, is that?" She's only snuck off to the loo, so she's not hearing this, and so they're calling out.
Well, I did. I half heard it while I was in the loo.
So I've got to break into the ladies' toilet. There's all these other women in this nightclub kind of thing. They're all, doing themselves up. And I'm kicking all the doors, see which one she's in. Debbie, get it in! They're calling you.
I'd frozen actually, because I sort of heard it and I'd frozen like, oh my God. And the toilet door banged up me, grabbed hold of me. Honestly, it was, and so he dragged me out. And he carry on.
Yeah, get to F on stage. Yeah, it was so I dragged her out straight on the stage. And off they go into rock and roll, the drum intro, and off they go. Sammy and Debbie exchange the vocal parts, and Eddie keeps slinking around, getting on his knees and all this.
Oh my God!
Comes to the time for the guitar solo. Eddie goes up to Debbie, sidles up in the shoulders, that little smile. And she looks at him and goes, "Huh."
Yeah. I just kept looking.
And sang another verse. So Eddie had to stop playing the solo and back into rhythm and go. Came to the end of that verse, and Eddie's like, she looks at him and goes, sang another verse. It was like, and in the end, she's the only one who wouldn't let Eddie Van Halen play a solo.
I know, he got down on his knees in front of me.
In the end, he was almost begging.
And he was right in front of me saying, "Let me do this solo." But every time I looked at him, I went into this nervous, like, oh my God, it's Eddie Van Halen. And I just went, carried on singing another verse of Led Zepplin. And honestly, that song must have gone round and round and round. And I could see Pete going, "Shut up!" And I'm like, oh man. Oh, anyway, he did get a solo, but it was crazy. Just looking around on stage, I'm looking around, and there's every member of Van Halen, and I'm just like, oh my God, and I thought I'll look over there and it'll be somebody else, but no, it's all Van Halen, and I'm like, oh, it was one heck of a moment in my life. And at the end, we eventually finished, and Eddie got his solo, of course. And then the guys picked me up. Alex jumped from behind the drums, jumped over the drums, and just picked me up in the air. And I was just like, oh my God, I couldn't even speak properly. Every time Eddie spoke to me, I went, oh my God.
And they went after that. They went off to do 2 shows at Wembley with Bon Jovi. It wasn't quite a double bill. John Bon Jovi were headlining, so but it was almost like a double bill, except Bon Jovi went on last. And so they invited us to that. So we hung out with them for a couple of days at those Wembley shows, which was really nice.
It was. They were such a lovely bunch.
And of course, I'm into my chili sauces and all that kind of stuff. So Michael Anthony is a big chili sauce.
Oh yeah, you got his T-shirt, didn't you?
So I don't know if you.
He wanted your T-shirt.
Yeah, I was wearing a Texas Chili's T-shirt, just with chilies all over it, and he's going, "I want that shirt, man." And I don't know if you remember at the Michael Anthony's shirt. He always wore a Jack Daniels cut-off T-shirt on stage when he was in that era. Well, I said, "Well, you can have this, but I need a shirt." So he gave me that one. So I still.
Now goes the camera.
And then a couple of months later, on the front cover of Bassist magazine, Michael Anthony's wearing my T-shirt. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. So now they were just a lovely bunch of guys.
Oh, they were fantastic.
Yeah.
We've been really lucky throughout our whole career that we've worked with some really fantastic people. Real cool, lovely people. And that night with them, they didn't need to take us to Wembley. They didn't need to hang out and be lovely to us, but they were. And it was just, it was great. It was really good. So that's our Van Halen story. And I've got a lovely picture of me and Eddie that I just absolutely adore. It was a big heart wrench when he went.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a big loss for the music world as a whole. I mean,
Yeah.
where do you land on like rock and roll where it is now? Like, I mean, it feels like we're really limited in the number of true rock and roll bands that we have, and
Yeah.
at this point, I mean, it's because you share those experiences, and it's like those sort of things don't happen a lot now. Like,
No.
I would say Van Halen were probably the last of the innovators that to demise, you know.
I don't really know who you would say now, you know. I really don't.
I think Foo Fighters are one of the last kind of greats that's still kind of around. You know, it was actually pretty cool. I saw last year here in Napa, California. There's a festival, and Guns N' Roses played one night, and Foo Fighters just playing the other night, and Axl, you know, for the encore, brought out Dave Grohl, which was really pretty cool. So, I mean, I think the Foo Fighters are one of the last ones that really kind of do it to that level.
You see, I think
they're kind of a similar age group to us in a way.
Yeah, I was about to say
and have the similar love that we have and the similar passion.
And I think we've been spoiled. You know, our era and the era before us have just been the greatest of greats. And
I think if you wanted to be in a band today at this age group, I think probably the best band to be in today would be the Foo Fighters. I mean, they just look like they're.
Well, I think
they just look like they're. Well, sorry, the best band would be our band.
I think it'd be ours.
Second best would be the Foo Fighters, because
I love our band.
They're just playing all the rock and roll you want to play.
Yeah.
And they're really successful at it as well. So it's yeah.
I mean,
that's kind of where you'd want to be, isn't it? Really.
The problem, I guess, that you know what's going to happen and what is happening, but it's no bad thing. But everything's derivative. So, you know, because it's all coming from what was going on in the 60s and 70s, the rock that we had, that type of bands anyway. But that's no bad thing, because I don't know where else you can take it and where else you can go. And youngsters still need to hear that stuff. So if you've got bands that are sounding like Led Zepplin, or are sounding, you know, like a Van Halen or whatever, it's still a good thing, because they're not going to see those bands. You know, the kids today aren't going to see those bands live, you know. So to be able to see bands that are tapping into that and still taking that music forward, or, you know, I think you know,
I think Dave Grohl's
been just lucky. I mean, we've just been privileged to have had all that music around us.
I think Dave Grohl's very, very sort of honest about his inspirations and who he's sounding like on stage, isn't he? And he's also a very generous man of spirit when he's giving it out there, or appreciating or showing thanks. He seems like a cool guy. We've had sort of minuscule distance dealings with him and stuff, and he's always been an impeccable character.
Yeah, for sure. My brother was a big influence for him, so you know. He loves John, so that's good for me. Yeah. That's good enough for me.
Yeah. He's not shy on heaping praise on his influences, Dave Grohl, is he?
No.
Very honest about that.
Yeah, I've had the chance to meet him a couple of times, and I mean, he's just always, I mean, he's just a super great, down to earth, cool dude, you know. I mean, actually, I'll share this right here. But like, he came to Napa, and he was showing his Sound City Studios documentary. And, and so before that got started, there were previews on and everything, and I went to the bathroom, and he was just standing outside talking to the theater staff, and so I waited, you know, a moment, and, you know, he's totally cool, took my camera, got a picture with him. And then I'm like, what would Dave Grohl do, right? So I sent the picture to my mom, and had her take it to the pharmacy and have an 8x10 made of it. And then afterwards, there was a Q&A, and I was the first to ask a question, you know, and I got him to sign it then. He's like, wasn't this like an hour ago, you know? But he just marches to the beat of his own drum, and I try and take that into what I do as well, and be creative like that, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's brilliant. It's just lovely to hear those stories.
And that documentary that he did on the studio. I mean, I thought that just the fact that he bought that studio, not as any kind of money-making scheme, but to preserve
the history.
To preserve all that history and to show other people and to share it with other people. It's kind of what I mean by his generosity and his thoughts.
That was a great documentary. That really was a great documentary.
Yeah. And even his, I mean, you talk about sharing, we could talk about Dave Grohl all day. I couldn't anyway, but like his throne that he had when he broke his leg, you know, and he made that rocking throne out of guitar and everything. And then he handed it down to Axl when Axl needed it. He's shared it with other bands, you know, I mean, like recently a musician got, I think, shot, and they just like reached out and like, hey, can we use that throne? And he's like, sure. And he sent it to them, sort of thing, to be able to use for their own shows, you know.
About 3 years ago, Deborah got thrown from a horse and broke her back in, what was it, 3 places or 5 places? She's got quite a bad break, so she was crippled for about 3 months. And we honoured a show a festival booking that we had. This is
right at the end of towards.
Yeah.
I had to lie still in a bed for 2 months to let.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was tough, but by the 3rd month I was sort of doing some aqua physio, and you know, and I had a frame, you know.
So we honored this Zimmer frames.
We honored this show with me and this Zimmer frame, but his sister Belinda.
Well, first of all, we wheeled her on stage in a wheelchair, and then propped up the Zimmer frame there for her to hold on to.
But his sister Belinda, she decorated it for me with all these scarves and dream catchers and everything. So it looked fantastic. And the wheelchair was all decorated as well. So on I went.
Yeah, pimp my wheelchair.
And I managed to stand up onto the frame, you know, and do this festival, which was great. It was really.
We should have done a Bob Dylan song. It was like that, you know, Robert Zimmer frame.
Oh.
Okay.
Fell flat. No, keep going.
No, just seeing the tumbleweed go by.
Tumbleweed going over the head.
You know, you got to try some jokes to see whether it'll, you know, knock it out of the park or land flat sometimes.
Let me just make a note of that one. This goes under the shut the.
I'm swearing.
I didn't. I bleeped myself out.
I wish you'd bleep yourself out more often.
There's no need to bleep. Keep it real, you know. So yeah.
Oh, I need him to bleep. In fact, I'm looking for something that I could just switch him on and off. It would be great.
You haven't found it yet, huh? So
no. 31 years and counting.
So tell me about making music together. So I want to kind of talk about the transition between Deborah Bonham Band and Bonham-Bullick. Like, tell me about first kind of that transition, how you went from that band to the next, and then also making music together.
Well, we thought a name like Bullock would draw more attention to the band than Bonham ever would.
Wait a minute, I've just got to get the zapper and zap him now. Can you just move him out of the...
just drift him on out.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the Deborah Bonham Band now. You've just been sacked.
Excellent. Off to the pub, Steve.
Right. Hey, I'm there with you. So
it's just always been a band, you know. It has been a band, and it before I met Pete, I was already doing music, so it was Deborah Bonham, and it just naturally, we kept it at that, you know. But the more it's gone on and on and on, it's the same players. We're very much a band, and we've all been together years and years, you know. And then the idea came because we've always written our own stuff. I mean, I predominantly am the songwriter, but the songs only turn out because of the way the band interpret it as well. So we're all credited for the songwriting because I'll go along with the idea, play the melody, and I've got an idea where it's all going to go, and then the band come in and put all their bits together and maybe say, oh, should we try this here, and blah, blah, blah. So we've always worked as a team. And then for this new album, we really wanted to do something different. And that's when we decided to do these, you know, other people's songs and do what's predominantly a sort of more bluesier covers of other people's great music, and some of them are absolutely classic, great old songs. And that took a lot of work. That was like really digging deep to change. We had to do our take on it. You know, we couldn't just copy. So it became even more of a band thing. And then it was like, what? I'd like it to be a band, you know. And we'd been suggesting Bonham-Bullick for a while.
Yeah.
And then the record.
And I think just sticking the word band at the end of Deborah Bonham band was all a bit.
Yeah, and people wanted that, you know, the promoters wanted
terribly
band so that the punters would know that it wasn't just a girl singer with an acoustic guitar or something. It was a full-on, you know, rocking band. And then I just felt that it was time, you know, it was a new project. It was a completely left field of what we normally do. And I just thought, you know, it's time to bring this band, and especially Pete, because he, you know, without going on, it's so hard because, you know, he's my husband as well, but he is one phenomenal guitarist.
Cook. Oh, guitarist.
And a cook. You are a great cook. But it was time to really, you know, I want the world to know how great he is. And
no, you didn't.
Yeah, I do.
No, because then I'd never shut up.
No, you know, I want the world to know how great you are. And then I'm going to send you out there with another singer, and I'm going to stay at home and retire.
Just keep him in the back, and you know.
Yeah.
I just realised what it is, Steve. It's her sort of sneaking out the side door. So it's going to be Bonham-Bullick, and then before long it'll be Bullock, and she'll be out playing with her horses. And I'll be on the road.
No, I could never give it up. But it just made sense, you know. It was a new project, something completely different for the band to do, and you know, we're not going to split up. The band has been together like 30 years, so
I guess a bit of the thought behind the name thing was that somebody bandied about, well, Tedeschi Chucks did it, so it was that kind of thing. We're sticking two names together, or yeah, so that's kind of why we ended up with that, rather than creating a Deborah Bonham and the Fart Breakers.
Hey, that has a ring to it too, though. So you know.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, you know, in all seriousness, it just made sense, and it was a long time coming. Really, we should have done this a long time ago, but everything in the music business, as in the business, is always down to the right time. And we didn't have the right record label, and we didn't have everything in place. And then by doing the Paul Rodgers tour, where Paul personally picked Pete to do the free music, I mean, and that in itself, you know, for Pete to walk on in Kos's shoes, Paul Kossoff's shoes, you know, it's huge. Yeah. But Paul picked him, and he picked the rest of the band also to back him, and that meant for our bass player Ian Rowley playing Andy Fraser's Mr. Big, you know, so it has the most incredible bass line. So it was a big honor and a big accolade, but also, you know, they really had to get out there and prove it, you know. And I think from that, then Paul was already involved with Quarto Valley Records with Bruce Quarto, who was the head guy. They came to one of the shows, him and his operations director, Mike Carden, who's got a massive back history with East West Records and Eagle Rock, and, you know, he signed so many acts, you know, oh gosh, everybody knows Mike Carden. And they came, and you know, here we are with them, which is, you know, was phenomenal for us, you know, that at this stage in our career, this record label are going, yeah, we can see what you're doing, because that, you know, that isn't easy this day and age. That it's just these things aren't happening, you know. So Quarter Valley really went out on a limb for us, you know, and that's why then we said, well, look, let's try and do something new. Let's try and launch something new. Let's make it a band, and let's really try and do a killer album of killer songs in our own way. And that's what's happened. And you know, we'll be forever grateful to Quarter Valley for believing in us, because that's what they've done. And, you know, we just hopefully that this will now, you know, we just want to get out there, out into the States to play, because we had such a ball out there. But of course, COVID has put pay to that for the moment. But, you know, it is on the cards. We definitely will be out there as soon as the COVID situation is a bit more under control.
Sure.
You know, so,
and your last time out to the States was, I think you played the East Coast, right? Do you see yourself coming to the West Coast?
yeah, definitely. We were out in the West Coast in 2018 with Paul Rodgers and Ann Wilson and Jeff Beck. And that was a phenomenal tour where Pete and the band were playing for Paul Rodgers. And I was opening up with an old friend of mine, Ian Hatton, who played in Bonham with my nephew Jason.
Yeah.
And Ian and I have been friends since we were 15, you know, so we got together. He lives in America now. So we got together and we opened up, and it was just a great tour. And we were on the West Coast then. And it was a blast. I mean, it was just, it was so good. We loved it. It was my favorite shows on the West Coast, actually. It was
a great bunch of sort of camaraderie on that tour. There's, especially with the crew, because every band had its own crew on the road. So you know, and then there's, you know, stressful change.
Except for me and Ian,
and stuff.
We didn't have any crew at all. So everybody else's crew came and did it for us. They were brilliant. So I had Jeff Beck's crew. It was superb. Jeff Beck
and Ann Wilson's crew and Paul Rodgers' crew would look at. I mean,
they looked after us.
Even I would change the amp head for guitars and stuff. And all the crew go. I think that's what got all the crew involved. I said, "Shit, man, the guitars from the main act's even changing the amp for the support act. I've never seen this. Let's give them a." So before you know it,
you did like the singer, though, didn't you?
Oh yes, I pulled the singer, but not telling you which band. That would be weird.
Nope. Yeah.
Was it Paul Rodgers then?
Oh yes. Yeah. Well, I had his poster on my wall.
I know. I told him. I said you used to kiss it every night as well. He looked at me and was going, "No, he didn't, Deb, did he?" I said, "He did. Honestly, Paul. He used to kiss your poster every night, going, 'I love you, Paul.'"
Well, what an honor, though, to be able to be a part of that, you know, world, and even that capacity, right? Like, it's incredible.
You know, sometimes you know, there's been moments where we just, well, I've pinched myself, you know, and thought, crikey, you know, this is just, if people like that, and again, like with Robert Plant, you know, he's one of our he's one of my greatest friends ever. He's like a brother, really.
Yeah.
But we're very close, and he's very close with Pete as well. And he's so special, you know. And he turned up at a gig we were doing, unannounced to the audience, of course. But he's got up and played with us. And when you're sort of on stage, and the likes of Paul Rodgers, Robert Plant, Van Halen, you know, and they think you're good, then you start to think, well, this is it, really, isn't it? I mean, you know, how does it get any better? You know, this really is living that dream, because you're just playing with these incredible people, and it's to be on the stage with your peers is just outrageous. And on a UK tour with Paul Rodgers, Pete had just one heck of a blast in Oxford. Robert turned up with Brian Johnson, and both guys got on stage with Paul, and Pete and my band are playing, and it's just, and the audience didn't know it, and the audience just suddenly saw Robert Plant come out, followed by Brian Johnson, and they're all singing "I Want Money," you know, and the first line of it is "the best things in life are free," and they're all, of course, it's a concert of free music, you know, as in the band. I mean, that, you know, you're on stage with three icons, you know, and it's like, and
what was that like for you, Peter? Yeah.
Well, it's obviously it's amazing, but but because I'd met and spent some time with two of them before, you know, Robert Plant and Paul Rodgers, I think it was my first time meeting Brian Johnson. So,
God, he was funny.
and that was
so funny.
that was kind of and they were just like a bunch of lads having a good time backstage. You know, there was no, so it was all a bit of a laugh. You know, a couple of bottles of wine were out and all that, and it was just. And then it came to doing the song. But what got me? I don't know if you've seen that video. I start laughing when Brian Johnson sings, because backstage we did a little rehearsal in the dressing room, just. You know, so okay, right. You know, Pete, start off with the riff, blah blah blah.
Well, he wasn't going to do it, was he? Because
he had been going through the AC/DC and the hearing trouble at that time. He left the band, or the band left him, whichever way it was, and you know, he was in a bit of a bit traumatic for him, you know, because he thought he was never going to be able to sing again because of his hearing. So anyway, that's they found another way around it, and I think he's going to be. It's not quite so bad as it was made to be then. But so he really, Robert Plant persuaded him to come out and join in and sing. So we had a quick go in the dressing room, and he sang like a soul singer. He didn't sound like, you know, the AC/DC Brian Johnson. So when we were back,
he sounded like Wilson Pickett.
Wilson Pickett,
yeah, he really did.
Singing so we're in the dressing room, we go, right, we do the riff a couple times, right, and then Paul sings and then Brian, you do this verse, and so all this talk's going on, and Brian sings that verse, and he's sounding like an old soul boy from the 60s.
He did say, he said, I love the old soul bit.
Yeah,
I love it.
That's not the only thing he said he loved.
I know. We won't discuss that one.
So of course, so we're on stage, and you know, Paul sings his bit, Robert Plant sings his bit, and Brian Johnson comes on. And in my head, I'm going to hear him singing like Wilson Pickett or something. You know, he's got a cool voice. And so it comes to Brian Johnson. He gets a mic and he goes,
He did not sound like that. He did not sound like that. He sounded like Brian Johnson of AC/DC. He was phenomenal. I mean, honestly, the crowd went hysterical.
But that's it. But that's it. The Brian Johnson AC/DC voice is totally different to his dressing room. So
oh yeah, no, he just came out. What have you done here?
But we nearly, I don't know, we nearly jumped out of our skin when he sang. It was like all of a sudden it was like we just realised AC/DC were on stage with us.
Right.
And the audience, because none of them were expecting this, and they've all got their ticket to see the Free Spirit, Paul Rodgers Free Spirit show.
Yeah.
And we had a couple of friends that we knew had bought their tickets, that were debating on whether they were going to come to Oxford or somewhere else. So we rang them and said, get your ticket for Oxford. And they were like, yeah, well, we're thinking of, no, get your ticket for Oxford. So they came, and of course afterwards they were like, oh my God, they were just blown away.
Yeah, we were like, I think it's this one you want to come to.
And
you
you
tell
know,
anyone what.
You see, you don't, how often would you see something like that?
No.
And that's a moment in history, I think, to have those three. Unbelievable.
Yeah, but the joy on their faces. I mean, Brian Johnson, he was having a hoot and a laugh, and a Robert Plant's having a laugh. They're all laughing.
They were really having a ball.
Hey, you know, three legends together were like three old schoolmates. It was very odd to be part of that.
And with Brian Johnson's hearing thing, like it's like anytime you see him on stage is kind of a treat, because you don't know if you will again, or if you'll play with AC/DC or anything along those lines, right? So it's like, even to be present, let alone be on stage with him for that experience, is incredible.
Seriously, all of those moments now, you think, wow. And again, what a great guy. I mean, so funny, really funny.
But I know at the end of the song, like Paul starts doing the vocal trills, and then Robert Plant's going, and then they're trying to out each other. And Brian Johnson gets it. Listen to the pair of you. Catch yourselves on. Listen to the pair of you. And that was it. It just floored us again. It was like, the big rock and roll moment, and he just completely takes the piss out of us all. It's like, it's great.
It was fantastic. I think it was a total treat for anybody there.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. And Peter, so a memorable moment for you as well. You got to play with Van Morrison.
Oh,
Oh, that's a story.
Oh, do tell.
That's a story.
Well, when I was in, well,
You'd have to start it from, I mean,
when I was 16,
Yeah.
we're both from Belfast, and I live quite close to him, and a friend of mine, school chum of mine, his dad was a jazz musician and a playwright, comedy writer, and he wrote this show called Up Ulster. When Ulster is the area of Northern Ireland where we're all from, and where all the and I think although we lived amongst all the shooting and the bombings and stuff, there was an element of humor that would go on, I guess, that like there must be in any disaster zone to help you get through it, because of, the reality you just don't want to be thinking about all the time. So this comedy play was written, and because it's my friend's father, we get the VIP opening night tickets, and we're in the theatre. It comes to an intermission, and so on the opening night, it has all the Northern Irish celebrities, of which there aren't that many. So basically, George Best, the footballer, and Van Morrison, and I think that was it, apart from a couple of local news readers, and us lording it up because our friends. So it comes to the interval, and we're racing out to get to the bar, and we sort of squeeze out, and we're trying to get to the bar first. And this sort of, I'll not talk too much about his figure, but sort of this man with a hat sort of pushed out in front of me, and sort of, and me were like, "Oi!" And he turned around and looked me in the eye, and he said, and as I was about to say something to him, "You're Van Morrison," and he just looked at me in the eye and went, "Fuck off."
I hear he's really friendly, I hear he's...
And that was it.
Stop banging the table.
And I thought the little fucking shit, there he is. It was him pushed out in front of me, and he's telling me to fuck. I'll get him one day. Anyway, 40 years later.
Right.
So we were. It was a concert for Lonnie Donegan. Lonnie Donegan, the legendary skiffle singer, guitarist who influenced Jimmy Page, Eric Clapton, everybody from the 50s. He's an English guy. I don't know if you're familiar with Lonnie Donegan.
Not a lot. Yeah.
So
he's a massive influence.
Yeah, massive influence on all the early 60s guitarists. And so his son was playing this, or putting on this tribute concert for him. And the reason we were invited was because we toured with Lonnie Donegan in 2001. And his dad, Lonnie Donegan, took quite a shine to us and Debbie. And in fact, when they found him dead in his apartment in Spain, the CD beside his bed was Deborah's Old Tide album.
Wow.
So the family have always been, they always like to include us when there's a tribute to Lonnie. Now, Van Morrison was a big fan of Lonnie Donegan as well, and used to play with him and stuff. So we're doing this concert, and Van Morrison's there as the main special guest later on. Deborah had broken her back, as I was saying earlier. So we couldn't honor, but it was going to be just the two of us joining Lonnie's band. So she couldn't come. His son said to me, "Well, you come anyway, Pete. And you can join in with, I'll find something for you to join in with." So I'm there. It's running behind schedule, and the things that I was going to join in with got the chop from the set. So I go, oh well. And then he comes out and says, "Pete, Van Morrison's going to come on the encore and do Good Night, Irene. Could you come on and play it with him and do the solo?" I was like, yeah. So that was it. I came on, and funny enough, Van Morrison had instructed everybody backstage not to talk to him, and his dressing room was in a different place and all that. So I'm standing at the side of the stage with the stage manager, and we're at the side of the stage where none of the other band members are coming off. They've been told to go to the other side. Anyway, Van comes off. This is before the encore where I go on, so I'm standing at the side. So Van comes off stage, walks past me and the stage manager. And as he goes up the stairs, I shout, "All right, Van!" And
fuck off.
He turns around and gives us this look. Except he didn't look at me. He looked at the stage manager and give him a hell of a fuck off look. and then stormed off because somebody had dared to talk to him. I was pissing myself laughing. The stage manager said, "You're a bastard." He thought that was me. He said, "You just got the fuck off that I got 40 fucking years ago." And that was it. I'm on stage with him. And of course, and it comes to the part, and he's not really looking at the musicians that are on stage with him. And then it comes to the guitar solo, and I'm doing this guitar solo, and it got a bit of attention and stuff. And somebody captured a great photo of Van just looking. I think he must have thought I'd played too long or something like that. I got that look from him again. He's like saying, and my friend in the audience caught this photograph of Van. Yeah. Van giving me the fuck off look again.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there we go.
Imagine.
Yeah, I love Van.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, but you don't want to get on his bad side, all right? Like it's.
We know quite a few of his band members, and they all speak really highly of him. Yeah. Said he's a lovely guy. I think years in the business, and I know Robert toured with him as well. You went to that show, didn't you?
Yeah. So many people we know and respect think Van's a great guy.
Yeah, I think it's years in the business. He cannot tolerate, just people just constantly at him, and you sort of understand that a bit. You don't quite have to be as rude as he can be, but you got to give the guy a bit of slack. He's been in this business a long time, and there's quite a lot of assholes out there that just completely would be at him all the time. So yeah.
I'm sure if you get in the circle, with him, he's like tight with his inner circle, and then anything outside of that is like there's no room for. Yeah, I
think it's it's a protection really, just to stop all of those people just constantly asking the most ridiculous things and coming up to him, and if he's sitting having a meal and they'll just come in to interrupt. So I think he's just developed that, and with his band members who we know, they've all said no, he's a good guy.
Yeah. So a couple of questions as we wind down. You had mentioned Jason a while back, and I'm interested in kind of the dynamic in recording with Jason, because I know he's done a couple of albums with you. And what is that like for you? Do you see a lot of John and Jason? Like what is the relationship?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, he's got just the most unbelievable talent. I don't think. I watch him and I'm completely in awe, and I always have been since he was young, because he really has got it. He's just got it. He's developed his own style, so he's not totally his dad's playing. He's developed his own style, but it's quite phenomenal.
If he's doing his Zeppelin show, he'll play like his dad.
Yeah.
And if he's doing his Sammy Hagar Circle show, which he'll talking about Sammy earlier, he'll play like Jason Bonham, which is it's a more modern drummer that sounds like he's been influenced by John Bonham, like so many other drummers of Jason's.
He's just quite there aren't many drummers around like as good as Jason. I mean, he's just totally got it. He can just sit down, and all of a sudden he's there with the most incredible grooves, and his hi-hat and his bass drum work is just fantastic.
What helps Jason, I think, he's got he's actually got quite an incredible brain and memory and attention to detail. Jason, he's almost like a photographic memory. He's got so he can pull stuff up. If you say something, he can pull that out of the bag. He's skillful enough to do it, but he's actually got the memory of everything to pull it out. It's quite an incredible encyclopedia going on in there.
No, he's big. I mean, he did all of the drums bar one track that was Mick Fleetwood on our old Hyde album, and the drumming is phenomenal. I mean, he's just the most incredible, and he's an exciting player to watch. You go and watch Jason play, and I think everyone would agree that when he took his dad's seat at the O2 with Led Zepplin, I think Jason was just breathtaking.
And he's also musical as well. some drummers can make a drum kit actually sort of melodic, but strangely enough, something about swing
it's a swing and the groove.
Swing and the groove, and if you can get into that, and as a guitar player playing along with a drummer like that, you tend to realize you don't need to play as much because you want to leave a few gaps to hear that musicality of the drums that this drummer's playing as well, which is it's a privilege to play with drummers that play like that.
He totally, at the O2, I was so nervous for him.
The Zeppelin reunion.
I was so nervous for him because, I'm talking about us going out with, Paul Rodgers, and I quite often every night did a duet with him and singing with Robert and everything. And you feel the weight on your shoulders that, damn, you better be good, because you're singing with these incredible icons. Jason had to step in his dad's seat, and my heart was beating like crazy. I thought, it's like, Jason, you okay? You okay? And he's like, I didn't breathe for the first song. He said, I forgot to breathe, because there he is as the drummer of Led Zeppelin, who, his dad is just.
I almost wanted to ask him if he had his drum stool plumbed into the sewers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have needed a big nappy, that's for sure. For God's sake. I thought it was bad enough with Van Halen, and I was just as a guest, but to do a whole show with Robert, Jimmy, and John Paul Jones, and to pull it off, and it was absolutely fantastic.
But in the rehearsals for the Zeppelin reunion, and I popped in a couple of times because we were making our Duchess album at the time. So I'd pop down to the Zeppelin rehearsals and wait for Jason to finish, and then he'd hop in my car and come to the studio with us. So I'd sort of walk in and almost felt like saying, "Can you guys hurry up? We need Jason down it." Anyway, I didn't, but it was. They might not see the funny side, but
no, I don't think you wanted to really talk about that, did you, Pete?
But what happened in the when Jason was rehearsing with the guys, there was I'm sure this is probably documented a lot. I'm sure they've all spoken about. But whenever like John Paul Jones was saying to him, if we can do whatever the song was, and Jason would sit there and go, "No, do you want the Earl's Court 75, or do you want
Seattle 70 something else,
or do you want the Nebworth arrangement when my dad did this?" Or, yeah, and they're all just looking at he's got Jimmy Page and John Paul Jones staring at him, going, "What?"
He's doing great
stuff, huh? Yeah.
He's doing great because, of course, he's got his Led Zeppelin show going across America, that he's been doing, and that's bringing that music, and it's there's nobody like Jason to do it. It's just his show is amazing, so it's just bringing that music to the to younger people now that have never seen Led Zeppelin. Some of them, and most of them weren't even born when Led Zeppelin were playing, so that's a great thing too, and he's having amazing success with that. So and then with Sammy Hagar, so yeah, he's doing good, Jace.
Yeah. How excited are you for the album to finally come out? I know you were working on it for a while, and COVID.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. COVID. It was such a shocker because everything was all coming together. As I said, with the Quarter Valley Records, suddenly things were just all coming together, and it was looking like, okay, this is working, and then bang, there's this virus, and we were just finishing off. We were just in the midst of finishing off recording. Yeah, we were just finishing off a bit of recording, and about to mix, and bang, and it was like, oh no!
So whenever it hit in like March 2020. We were looking at the album thinking this is going to be finished in 2 weeks, and then we'll have it out for the summer or the autumn, or the fall. So yeah, that was a shock. And the mix, we couldn't sit in on the mix. We had to.
Well, we weren't going to do it to start off with, but then we just thought none of us knew what was going to happen with this virus. I mean, nobody could tell. Is it going to just be? Is this going to be over in a couple of months? Is this going to be, I think it was you who said to me, I think this is going to be a 2-year job. Yeah. And you were right, But But a lot of us were still thinking, well, maybe it's going to be done in a few weeks, a few months rather.
Yeah, I wouldn't book anything until April 2020 was my plan. My plan right from the offset when it happened. Now we'll plan to tour again in April 2020 or 22.
22.
That's it. So,
yeah.
and a lot of bands unfortunately planned to tour 6 months later, and of course after the 6 months they'd have to cancel again. So this used to keep going on and on and on. So we didn't have to go through all that sort of rebooking and cancelling and stuff. So
we left it as it was, and then but we did do. Somebody's just walked in.
Okay.
But we're doing a video at the moment, getting the video ready for the first single. So our video chappie, Mr. Peter Hart, has just
Peter
walked
Hart,
in.
the legendary Peter Hart,
legendary
windsurfing legend,
and the odd music.
Oh, and the odd music video. In fact, he did the other music videos that are on there on YouTube, for Fly and Take Me Down. This is
awesome.
You can stick your face in there for a little hello there to Steve. Steve, Peter,
how's it going?
Very good. How you doing?
Good. Look forward to seeing the new video.
We will do our best with, obviously got some very fine natural ingredients
and a very
young-looking, slim, gorgeous guitarist.
Yeah, pretty,
of course.
Pretty guitar.
Of course.
It was a bit of a labor of love because we had to then. It was like, how are we going to mix it? And it was Robert that said to me, well, you should really go to Real World Studios, which is Peter Gabriel's studio over in Bath. And there's a guy that Robert was always used over there called Tim Oliver, and he's just phenomenal. I mean, Tim.
He mixed the Band of Joy album and a few others. He was incredible. So I was able to send the record to him, and then we mixed it sort of remotely in that he would do something, he'd send it to me, then I'd look at the time code, go through it and say, well, can you bring that bit up? Can we take that out? Can we relook at that? And then we eventually, as the time went on, the restrictions opened up a bit and we were allowed to go over there, which was fantastic. It was really, really good. So we got a day where we were able to go over to Real World and sit with Tim. And then, we got the album done, and then it was, COVID was still playing out. And then we landed on the idea that it should be 2022. And so, yes, it's been a long wait, but here we are. And why have we left the video to the last minute?
That's what I want to know. Because none of us could get together. Nobody could get together, could they? It was all like COVID this, COVID that.
Next question would be, so Deborah, after 2 years of sitting twiddling, why the fuck are you doing a video whenever you got 2 days to finish?
The video's got to be out now. Come on,
I could say that to you about why didn't you learn that song last week that we played? You've actually learned it. But there you go. I'm not going to say that. Would I say that?
No, wouldn't even say that. No,
I'm not even going to go there.
The expression's called shag the sheep.
I don't have to, because our drummer always says it. Rich Newman always says it to him. Rich sits behind the drums and goes, you've had 2 years to learn that, Pete. Oh, you've had 2 years and you still ain't playing it right.
Bust his balls from the back of the stage. Yeah,
it's great. It's great.
The other one he says after a show is, you left some great stuff out tonight, Pete.
But stuff to work towards for the next show, right? Well, I'll let you guys go do the video, but one last question. So you've played shows in the Bay Area. You talked about the West Coast. What is a memory you have of being here in the West Coast or like the Bay Area? What's something that you remember enjoying out here?
I just wanted to move there.
Yeah.
The weather, the people, everything. It was just the coolest of cool place. The music, in our hotel, we had a day off, which was great because we all went down to the outside bar. There's an outside bar and the pool, and we're like, yeah. And we're sort of out in this gorgeous weather, and the Doobie Brothers are playing. That doesn't happen in the UK, right. And we're sitting there going, whoa, let's do the music. It was like, here except at our house and Mr. Hart's house over there. You know, you don't go to a hotel or a bar in the UK and they're playing the Doobie Brothers and Fleetwood Mac and Hendrix and you know, Grace Slick and God knows what was going on. It was just great. It was just, I just loved it. I love the West Coast. You know, it's a hippie place, and that, you know,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
That was me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I loved it. What about you?
What do you?
Oh, the Wings. Sorry.
The Wings.
Was the West Coast the best Wings?
It is.
You're going to say this on every interview. He's
is.
going to have an interview in Louisiana and he's going to say, yeah, the Wings in Louisiana are the best. And then he'll be up in New York. Oh,
West
yeah,
Coast
the New York East Coast Wings were the best.
Yeah.
We called it the Wings Across America tour. Do you remember Paul McCartney actually had an album called Across America? Well, that's what we nicknamed. That's what we nicknamed it.
It's all about the Wings, and it comes full circle. And you guys need to come back to the West Coast, and I would love to see you guys live.
We actually found that the Guinness was quite good in America, because we just searched. We realized you get the best Guinness and the best wings if you just look up Irish bar, and that was
we were in the Irish bars quite a bit.
Which of course are American bars, but
right.
The Napa Valley wine, definitely. That sums up for me.
We had a day off in Vegas, and we looked up. There was this app on the phone, and the app would tell you where your nearest Irish bar is, and it said 0.8 of a mile, and we thought, well, sort of, we can walk that.
Yeah.
So this is Vegas, so we thought, yeah, we can walk that. Well, we didn't realize that in Vegas it was about 130 degrees. And in that 0.8 of a mile was about 20 blocks. And each block we had to stand and wait 5 minutes to cross. So this actually took an hour to walk in 130 degree heat. We were absolutely the last 50 feet we were like,
I did not go. I was just quite happy at the hotel with the aircon on.
Yeah. Deb, you mentioned the Napa wines. Here, I'll give you a spin here. So.
Oh wow! Look at this.
You got your own vineyard there, Steve.
It's not mine directly, but yes, I live on a vineyard property. So.
Wow. Well, that's just the coolest of cool.
It's pretty great, you know. Good place to raise the kids, I'll tell you. So.
What was gorgeous, I have to say. We had some in the Napa Valley, and it was really, really, really.
This is the view in our window.
I like that view as well. So you got a little bit of everything.
Yeah. And then we got.
It's all been in there forever. We don't really drink that.
There you go.
Quiet Man whiskey.
Okay.
Deborah's favorite John Wayne movie is The Quiet Man.
Yes.
That sounds delicious. But come to the West Coast. I will gorge wings with you. We'll have wings across America, you know, and I'd love to see you guys play live. So, yeah.
Wine for me. Wine and vegetables for me.
Wine, Guinness,
and wings and Guinness for him.
I am down for all of it. We'll have a blast. So
I'm the redneck. I'm the redneck in this relationship.
Hey, I can tailor to both. So thank you both for taking the time. It's been such a blast. I haven't stopped smiling the whole time. I love your stories, and the music, and the album's great. And
thanks, Steve.
Yeah, and I look forward to seeing you guys play it live. So
thank you, and thanks for having us. It's been brilliant. Thank you, Steve.
Of course. That was the interview with Bonham-Bullick here on Concert Pipeline. And Jens, that takes us to the final segment on the program. What is it?
Well, Steve, let me tell you, it is time to talk about some music news content, a segment where we just discuss, share a couple stories about what's going on in the music world today.
Like it. We each have a couple of fun stories to wind out the show. First off is a local one. One of the biggest local bands actually is doing their
Journey?
8th annual. Close. I'll let you guess another one. You want to take another stab?
No.
That's why you're like, it's Journey or Journey. That's it. No other local bands.
No, I'll just embarrass myself that I don't know, or I can't remember exactly which bands are Bay Area based and which ones are.
I do love that. That was the only option. It's actually Metallica.
I was going to say Metallica. No, I was
Yes,
going to say
you
Neil
did.
Young. I was going to say Neil Young, but I didn't think it would be Neil.
No, we'll talk about him in a bit. So Metallica is doing their 8th annual Metallica night with the San Francisco Giants, something they've done, for a while, and it's had a couple years off because of this whole little COVID thing, right? And so they're returning for an 8th year. It's going to see of course Kirk Hammett, James Hetfield. They've historically done the national anthem. Lars Ulrich has in the past thrown out the ceremonial first pitch. And so this is going to take place on May 24th, of course, at Oracle Park in San Francisco, when the Giants take on the Mets. Tickets are on sale. They've missed it the last couple of seasons, so they're excited to do it. And they will do the national anthem and a few other pregame shenanigans, and that is the highlight. So tickets are available if you want to get them. I think they're in similar fashion more expensive because it's Metallica, and I think there's a piece of swag that comes with that too, which apparently is worth like $1,000 or something. Who knows, right? But
we'll see how many people sell them on eBay or wherever.
I would like to go to that. That would be pretty cool. I will not be, but I would like to.
You can dream about it.
I can dream about it. Yes.
It'd be cheaper that way.
The dreams are cheaper. I will enjoy the dreams of going to Metallica night and wearing their Metallica Giant swag, which I think is pretty cool, and I would absolutely sport, but not for the price that it would cost me. So that's how that goes.
All right. You done with that story?
I am.
Okay, so got a story here. This one's about Kanye. So Kanye West tries to block Kim Kardashian's request to fast track single status.
This is after he delivered her a truck full of roses.
Yes, which we talked about in a previous episode, and I had visualized like not a pickup truck, like a truck.
A truck, like a flatbed.
Like a flatbed truck full of roses, and I was disappointed when I just saw this little.
If you were underwhelmed, then Kim.
I was so underwhelmed. Yeah.
So
what's it's a truck, man. I didn't get beyond the sentence, the title. I was like, can I swipe to skip this?
No.
But let's talk about it briefly. So in a new court filing, the rapper argues that terminating marital status before custody, property, and support issues are resolved could create adverse consequences. Kardashian says they both deserve the opportunity to build new lives.
Kanye doesn't seem to want to. We know who pulled the plug on this one, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. So Kim Kardashian, you know what? If you just go back to the headline, right? Kanye West tries to block. All right, he's doing the blocking for Kim's request to fast track to single state. He just doesn't want any. He still wants possession of her, right? Yeah, he's not ready to like let go, or he doesn't want anyone else, all over her.
She's his. He doesn't like that dude from SNL is topping that. He doesn't.
Oh yeah. What's his face?
Yeah. Why are we blanking on his name?
I don't know, but he's the guy that does the Chad. He has his little Chad skits. So Kanye is tossing up
Pete Townsend. No, not Pete Townsend. Pete. It is Pete. No, that's what he said. Wow, that was bad. It's Pete Davidson.
There we go. Almost
that was a bad slip. Carry on.
There's so much similarity there. All right. So Kanye West is tossing up another block road in his ongoing divorce to Kim, obviously. And what? Okay. So in a new court filing, Kanye changed his legal name. He's now
Just yay.
Sorry if I mispronounce this, but Y-E, so yay?
I think it's just yay, yeah.
What if it's Y-E?
He just makes you say the letters. Yeah.
Yeah, Y-E. Like
yeah.
Ye or yay. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
Anyway, is asking LA County Superior Court judge to deny conviction, submitting a request, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, blah,
this was
blah.
a 40-page filing. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah.
I don't know
blah.
how you write out 40 pages on, when you don't have anything there. Like if she wants to divorce, you should be able to, right? So,
if I was the lawyer, I'm sure the money's good, but if I was a lawyer having to write 40 pages of this shit, I'd be willing to blow my brains out. Like, what's wrong with these people?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Oh my God. Anyway, what do you got?
Well, now, next up is a story about Gene Simmons. You'll enjoy this. He's selling his Las Vegas mansion, and he says he's willing to accept cryptocurrency to sell it. So,
really?
I know.
He's going to accept cryptocurrency.
Yeah, that's interesting, right? I don't know if I've heard of that being done yet, but it could be yours for $13.5 million. Yeah,
fascinating.
And so he's going to accept Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever, Litecoin, Uniswap, Polkadot, Litecoin. And he says Litecoin again. Aave, Try, or a combination of those, all of those to purchase it. So. He says, I've been an outspoken proponent of cryptocurrency from the beginning. It is the future of money, and it just makes sense to offer interested parties the option of using cryptocurrency to purchase the estate. So he bought it last year for $10.8 million, but he and his family rarely stay at the property. Why would you buy it and flip it the next year? And he's trying to get $3 million more for it a year later. I know prices have gone up, but is that on par with inflation? I don't know.
I don't know, man.
Or
Maybe
is it
just
because
bored, or
Gene
really
Simmons was there? Yeah, I don't
know. Who knows?
But,
who knows? But you know what? What bugs me about the cryptocurrency thing is that, if you have like a debit card, right? Just a regular bank debit card, and you lose it or something, you can go to the bank and talk to somebody, and get a replacement. You can call the bank and you can get a, replacement or something. Or if you have to, get $20 out of the ATM, but you don't have your card, you can just walk in and get $20 by talking to somebody. But what really bugs me about the cryptocurrency is that if you forget your fucking password and you've got $13 million of crypto stuff,
tough luck, dude. You're
screwed, right?
Yeah.
There's so many people that forget their passwords. Like that's like the number one thing that frustrates people in our country.
Password.
Number one thing is like they can't remember their damn password.
Yes. First, it's a particular president, and then it's forgetting their password, right? So,
right.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's right there. Yeah, I don't know. It seems unwise to spend that amount of money in cryptocurrency, and I don't know if any of them, who has that much in crypto. I don't know. Maybe people do. Maybe people do. But you got one more story for us, Jens.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about David Crosby, who has not changed his name to Ye or Y-E.
He is not. No.
This is about Joe Rogan. So David Crosby says he's unimpressed, all right, people, unimpressed by Joe Rogan, and criticizes streamers for ripping acts off.
So we know the story about Neil Young and him pulling out. Obviously, there was Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. Though Young was taken out of it for a bit, and it was just Crosby, Stills, and Nash. I don't think the group is on great talking terms with Young. But what you're saying is that David Crosby is also not stoked on Joe Rogan, but also wants to air his beef about streaming services in general. And
that's what it sounds like. Yeah, that's exactly what it sounds like. Yeah, David Crosby says, "I don't like Spotify."
Sounds like he's a curmudgeon of an old man.
Yeah. That's not all he doesn't like. He says, "I don't like any of the streamers." because they don't pay us properly.
Well, he's not wrong there, but the big
true.
artists, are able to make a living off of it. The David Crosby is not. I don't think one of those that struggles as much as some artists do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that his solo career is is earth shattering or anything, but I think he can probably provide for himself okay at this point, right? So
I would think so. So I guess David Crosby has pulled his music off Spotify.
Has he actually done that, or?
Well, it says here David Crosby has called Joe Rogan not real impressive amid detailing in a new interview his reasons for pulling all his music off Spotify.
Oh, maybe he can bond with Neil Young about that.
Yeah, now they got something, fresh in common.
Maybe the band will get back together over this nonsense.
Yeah, that's worth like a phone call or a text or something.
Right? Hey, I pulled it too, Yeah. Fuck Spotify, blah, blah,
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it, right? James Crosby is adding himself to the list and has some complaints. So
yeah. We've got more and more people adding themselves to the list of this thing.
Yeah, it's not over yet. So neither is this podcast. We have one more story to wind us out here, Jens, and that is about a musician that we respect greatly, named
His name Pete.
No, it's not named Pete. But Dave Grohl was on the Howard Stern show this week, and along with Taylor Hawkins, the drummer for the Foo Fighters. They were talking about their upcoming horror comedy film, which comes out this Friday.
That should be exciting.
666. Yes.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll be seeing that soon, and then we'll be able to talk about it. But in the meantime, Dave Grohl was talking about his hearing loss. He said he's been reading lips for 20 years. He says, I'm a rock musician. I'm fucking deaf. He says he's been lip reading for years, and the COVID mask wearing has caused further issues for him over the past 2 years. He's explained how it impacts his life, highlighting that it somehow hasn't affected his ability to tune into the specifics of recording music. If you were sitting next to me right here at dinner, I wouldn't understand a fucking word you were saying to me the whole fucking time, he told the Stern show. There's no way. In a crowded restaurant, that's the worst. Yeah, the worst thing about this pandemic shit is people wearing masks. I've been reading lips for like 20 years. I'm a rock musician. I'm fucking deaf. I can't hear what you're saying. Despite his condition, Grohl said that decades of experience in the music industry has enabled him to still finally pinpoint sounds in the studio. When we go in to make a record and we're mixing an album, I can hear the slightest little things. My ears are still tuned into certain frequencies. And if I hear something out of tune or a cymbal that's not bright enough or something like that in the mix, I can fucking hear the minutia of everything we've done to that song. So, and he also added he manages to perform live without wearing ear monitors. He's relied on the same audio technician for 31 years.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And is very, yeah, I know. That's consistency.
That's dedication. That's like, somebody saying, my hairstylist moved 100 miles away, but I'm still seeing, my same hairstylist because they're so good. You got to do it. You gotta stick with what's good.
Yeah. So he's confident with his audio technician, and being able to support him. So, and
what comes to my mind? What comes to my mind? Okay, so we have some examples, or one particular example of if there's a band in crisis. I'm thinking of one band in particular where the lead singer can no longer. Oh, it's AC/DC. Sing. Yeah. So we've always got the default dude from the other band who can sit in. So I'm thinking Axl might be able to help the Foo Fighters out while Dave does some rehab.
Maybe that'll happen. I mean, they did play together at Bottle Rock last year, so we know they're
true
on talking terms. And we actually talked about Brian Johnson in the interview today that we had on the program because our guest actually played with Brian Johnson at one point after,
nice.
even after all the hearing issues, which I'm sure is pretty amazing. So, so one other note on this Dave Grohl thing. Grohl said that he hopes to release a full album of new thrash metal music by this Friday. This Friday. Yeah, which is interesting. It's interesting to have a hope that it's going to come out like we're a week away, right? You know.
Yeah.
But of course, you know that would tie into their comedy film Studio 666. And there was a track by the fictional band Dream Widow, which is featured on the Studio 666 soundtrack. It's the Foo Fighters, really, right? But they made a fictional band called Dream Widow. So lots of Foo Fighter news, lots of Dave Grohl news, doing it big. And you know, he's still making music even though he has his trouble hearing. So more power to him.
Well, let's hope he takes care of those ears.
I hope so.
You know, he doesn't want to lose that. You know, somebody like that, man, he's got so much talent. He's got a lot more creativity in him. You know,
he's not done. He's not done.
He's not done. He needs to be able to use his ears.
Yeah, and the hard part is that hearing shit you can't get back, right? So, So I wear the earplugs at concerts and when I'm out hunting, and it just you got to, you know, because you can't come back from that. So
that's right. He's going to be like a modern day Beethoven. But you know what? If Axl does, you know, replace him on just for a tour. And they come to the Bay Area. Should we go? I mean, is that worth going to?
I don't even want to talk about it because it's not going to happen. Okay, we are not replacing Dave Grohl. There is no replacing.
Not
Dave
a replacement.
Grohl.
Just Dave Grohl needs to go to rehab for his ears. But there's respect there for Axl as a fellow artist.
Sure.
You know, go ahead and sing my songs with my band.
Yes. Yeah, we do have a couple concerts you're going to next month. We have Barnes Courtney, and we also have Butterfly Museum or something. What is it called?
Oh my God! It's Butterfly Killed the Radio Bug.
Butterfly Killed the Radio.
It's the Dexter's band.
Yeah,
they even have a song named after the drug that Dexter used to knock people out.
Yes. I feel like I need
ketamine or whatever.
It's oh God, it's so bad. Princess Goes to the Butterfly Museum is what it's called, and yes, it's Michael C. Hall's band. And we're going to check that out this next month also, so we will report back. But
that should be fun. We checked out a couple of previous shows that they've done, and there were some pretty awesome covers that they did of Bowie. Yeah. Saw you were wearing the Bowie shirt during the interview.
Yes, nice of course. Gotta rock that. So looking forward to it. Next week on the program, Jens, we have Greg Martin of the Kentucky Headhunters. Had a really fun chat with him. And he actually showed off his Grammy on the program. He did. He'd earned. So that was pretty cool. Yes.
If I had a Grammy, I'd show it off to everybody.
Of course. He just happened to have it right behind him, so he pulled it out. You know,
conveniently located.
I know. So we'll have them on and have some fun there. And Jens, that's our show. So for all of us here at Concert Pipeline, that's Jens Schippel.
And that is Steve Jones.
We'll catch you next time.